With Black Ops 6 Zombies' main life cycle nearing an end, we thought it would be a fun idea to put every single wonder weapon in the game on a tier list from best to worst. Stay locked for episode 13 of Perkaholics Anonymous Podcast.
Clutch Squad, welcome back to the Perkaholics Anonymous Podcast for episode 13. I am extremely excited here tonight because MZC and I have a interesting episode lined up for you. We're going to be ranking all of the Black Ops 6 wonder weapons in a nice little tier list. My name is Jeff. MZC is over there. If you're new here, if you've a recurring person, let's hit that like button. Let's make sure that we're subscribed down below. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of comments on where we rank some of these wonder weapons. MZC, how are you doing?
Good, man. Last two episodes have been pretty controversial, I'd say, one way or another. They haven't been the usual just get on and kind of hang out kind of thing. They've been kind of ranty. So I figured this week we'd do something fun. We'd rank all the wonder weapons in Black Ops 6. There's not really a set criteria for this other than our own vibes. Obviously, we'll take everything into account. But, you know, some weapons might lose points for being returning weapons. Others might get points for being new weapons. We'll see how it goes. But I got a tier list over here on the left side of the screen. You guys should be seeing this. We'll be having gameplay mixed in with a tier list every time we add a new weapon in here. But we're going to be starting with all of the weapons from launch and working our way all the way to Reckoning and DLC 4. So it won't be from like worst to best right out of the gate. But by the end of it, we'll have a nice tier list.
Totally agree. Looks like there's maybe 15 or 16 weapons on here. There's some variants. There's some base stuff. We're going to do some upgrades as well. Obviously, we're going to kind of rank the ice staff differently, and then the Oozer is, you know, something separate. We don't have the bastard sword on here. That's not really a wonder weapon, so we're just going to do all the different variants of that. But yeah, let's get into it here. Let's get it started. And I think this is probably one of the best wonder weapons to really start a tier list with. We are going to be starting with the vanilla, the out-of-the-box ray gun, just the basic ray gun. Now, I got my feelings on this because I think the ray gun's fun. I think the ray gun is serviceable in these newer games. You know, it's usable. Unfortunately, I think it's like a C-tier wonder weapon. And, you know, another thing, too, I think here, MZC, I think like the Wonder Bar Ultra Gum kind of puts it off for a lot of people because they pop that gum and all they get is the ray gun. Am I wrong for that?
No, I have to agree with you. I was using it again today, and it's like, you know, it's not bad in comparison to like all the weapons in the game outside of just the wonder weapons. Like, it's more than serviceable. It's a fine wonder weapon. It's the OG. It's the original. It's fun to use in this game, but its practicality past like 25, especially against boss zombies, isn't really that good. Like you said, with the fatigue from the Wonder Bar, that kind of can factor into all this. I want to go like low B, high C. I think we're kind of in like the same zone there. You know, it's not as good as the Cold War ray gun. It's certainly better than, you know, Black Ops 4, even Black Ops 3 ray guns of years past, but I don't know. It's like it's average, you know. It doesn't really like blow you away, but it doesn't also suck. So I'm cool with wherever you want to put this to start. If you want to have like first say with the ray gun, if you want to go see, I'm down to go see here.
Well, let's just go high C because I think it's gonna stay around there for the majority of the thing, like the rankings. Like I don't want to get into where it's in a category with B and we think everything in B is clearly better than it. So let's keep it in C. Right. I feel like that's something we could revisit or later on in the episode. But another thing too that I was kind of just thinking of while you were speaking right there, how the quests are set up in this title takes away from the ray gun a little bit too, because you almost have to do the wonder weapon stuff in congruency with the quests. So at some point I'm sitting there, I can't even tell you the last time I even used a ray gun. Usually when I get it a bad, you know, a wonder bar that I don't want and it pops up, and it's like, all right, maybe we're running ultras, or maybe we were just messing around to start reckoning to see if we could get Gorg effects off the rip, and we ended up with a ray gun. So probably the first couple runs of the reckoning is when I got it. But C tier, interesting. I agree with you. I think the Cold War version is a little bit better. Now I'm gonna kick it over to you for this because I think this is the easiest one. Is this the easiest one on the whole list? How about the jet gun?
I don't know if it's easiest. I'd say it's for me. It's got to be S tier. Like this thing
easily. That's what I'm saying. Easiest to put in S.
I don't know. Okay, so there is one other one on here that I think we'll both be in agreement on. But yeah, I think with the jet gun, it has to be S tier. Like It was even better at COD Next last year before it was nerfed from everyone saying that the game looked too easy, which is sad because it looked like it was absolutely amazing. But you do have the ability to kind of just tap it and suck up all the zombies if you want to play like classic zombies and run around and actually just use it like it's supposed to be, where you hold down trigger and it sucks everything up. You can do that too. It's got a secondary feature where it kind of blows everything away like a thunder gun. Obviously, there's a bit more of a drawback with it, where if you do use that secondary feature, it takes a while again before it recharges and you can actually start using it. But I mean, dude, at launch, it was unbelievably OP. I mean, even nowadays, you just sit in a corner at the top of the bank in Liberty Falls. You might not be able to kill. You honestly, you can kill manglers on high rounds. I don't think you can really get away with killing abominations. So it's not like gonna wipe everything away. But in terms of like easy to use, fun to use, it's a remaster of an older weapon that was absolutely terrible, and for the longest time, like the bottom tier, like notorious worst wonder weapon of all time. So for those reasons, I honestly think that we should probably just keep this in S tier just to start. I don't know. I think it's amazing. I think it's so much fun to use. I know some people are like, oh, it's a reused wonder weapon or whatever, but like I don't even feel like it's reused in the sense because it wasn't it wasn't good in transit back in BO2. So happy to have it back on Liberty Falls. Definitely think it's amazing. Gotta go S tier for me personally.
I got a lot of thoughts on the jet gun, and they're all positive because if you want to redo, and truthfully, MZC, I do not think that the jet gun and the team over at Treyarch has gotten enough credit for how they went about it in this game, because if you wanted to redo the jet gun in any manner, this would be the perfect way to do it. One of the most lackluster and underperforming and underrated, or just bad wonder weapons of all time. And this is how you bring it back. Sure, if you're going to take points away from it, and that's because it is a reused asset, however it may be, I hear that argument, but it fits the map really well, in my opinion. People don't talk about that. It's super easy to build. It's so simple to build. It's not difficult. It's so linear. It's so satisfying to build, in my opinion. Just doing the steps, getting everything that you need, going and building it, even though that little room can be kind of annoying. But hey, here we are. I think you still need like a little bit of a learning curve. It's not difficult to use, but if you want to be successful with it, I don't think the average person that the first time they hopped on was really, really good at using it, especially into the higher rounds, like you said, with manglers and abominations and stuff like that. And yeah, it has multiple different features, and I think it's probably the second, if not the best wonder weapon in this game. Probably the second, though. I think there's one better than it.
One thing I definitely want to hit on here before we move on is you said that it was easy to get. That's what I like the most about it, is usually when they give you like these really OP wonder weapons, there's the drawback of like the quest is really hard or is like multi-step, very intricate, details and getting the wonder weapon. This is basically just like pick up a few parts, have some fun around Liberty Falls. Obviously, the lockdown is a little tough. You got to build it in that little hotel room, which can get kind of crazy if you're doing it mid-round. But overall, for the weapon that you're getting compared to the ease of the quest, it's like you could just open up the map and basically get the entire wonder weapon just by running around, opening up barricades, and getting everything set for whatever run or Easter egg run that you're having. So yeah, dude, for its ease of access, it's easily got to be 1A or 1B for the game.
It's definitely my favorite wonder weapon on the game, and that's the perfect wonder weapon to have it launch, because even though we had a good amount of DLCs to start the year at the end of 2024, that is like a perfect wonder weapon to launch with for me, because I really didn't lose interest, and it's not like I stopped having fun using it before the first map came out, the first DLC season came around. So that's what I really liked about it too. Good old jet gun. I'm sad to see it go, to be honest, but
hopefully it's back in transit. Hopefully it's back in transit.
It could be.
Even if it's just like one of 4 wonder weapons or a side thing, like I would love for it to come back, just because it's like, transit 2.0
map.
Yeah, put it in the survival map. Put it on farm, or dude, honestly, even if it's not the main wonder weapon for the map, just throw it in the box. Slap it in the box. We got wonder bars. We got to use them. They're carrying forward.
That's a good point. Makes sense.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
All right. Apparently, I go over and post something on X. I go and post something on X the other day, which if you guys aren't following us over on X, go there, check us out. We'll throw that in, links in the description. I believe MZC369, is that your handle?
Yep. We're active over there too.
And then I'm at the Life of Hefe over there, and I said, what out of the unique wonder weapons have been your favorite from this title. And I did not know that so many people had all these strong feelings both ways about the Beam Smasher. Has this something you've seen in the community since launch?
Yeah, man, it was good at launch. Don't get me wrong. Like, you could use it where basically the high round strategy was let it explode and then switch to the GS-45s and blow all the zombies away. Because when you do let it explode and all the zombies are affected, it lowers their health. So it's like a good secondary wonder weapon. But with one of the most recent updates, I think actually, well, it's not recent anymore, but with Shattered Veil, and I think it was Death Perception, I think people figured out that you can basically use one of the augments to make it really OP, and then you like cancel the reload and stuff with it to make it really good. But yeah, ever since then I feel like there's been a huge rift in people that are like, oh, I don't like it because I don't want to have to do that, I just want to be able to run around and kill zombies with it, or I really like it because it takes skill to use. I'll let you go first at it because I feel like you might have a bit of a stronger opinion of it than I do, but yeah, I've definitely seen things both one way or another.
So I've actually changed my mind sitting here thinking and looking, because in my notes that I have written down here, I have D tier written down. Ooh. But the more I think about it, here's the points I'm going to give it. And this is why I'm going to move it to low C. Number one, it's unique wonder weapon. It was a part of one of the launch maps. I think it fits the theme of Terminus very well. It's a unique wonder weapon, so those all get points in my mind for Black Ops 6 because of some of the reused assets that we've seen. Number two, you know me, I'm a huge fan, and I know we're just talking about Black Ops 6 zombies here. That's all we're going with. But if I could go back into the past, I was always a huge fan of the Ray K. And I feel like the Ray K walked so this wonder weapon could run because of the dual, how it's used, how you're supposed to use both of its features in tandem for it to be really good. So I'm taking it up from a D. I even wrote just don't care about it right next to it, but I'm going to take it from a D into that C tier.
Okay, dude, I just went back and got the gameplay for this yesterday, and I swear to God they buffed it, because for the longest time it was bugged.
I haven't used it in so long.
I know. For the longest time it was bugged where like non-Pack-a-Punch, and I think like tiers 1 and 2, and I could be wrong about the specific tiers for Pack-a-Punch here, actually did like, I was like wrong damage or something, where it did like way more than it should be doing. And then when we got to Pack 3, it started to suck compared to its like first two things. So like people weren't actually Pack-a-Punching it because it was better unpacked or in Pack 1 or 2 than the final tier upgrade. But dude, I was using it yesterday, and I swear to God, I was just lasering Amalgam. So I don't know if they silently fixed this and just didn't put it in the patch notes, because they've done that a few times this year and very recently, where things that should have ended up in the patch notes, or things that, like there's been patch updates with no notes. I could be like placebo effect, but I swear they've actually made this a lot better just to like casually use, aside from just sitting in a corner. Using it yesterday, I got to like 35, 40, which I know that's not the health cap, but I would put this in A tier based on how it feels right now, especially with all the different perks we have in the game compared to launch. I know I'm taking into account here like the whole sitting in a corner strategy where you like basically let it explode, but then you keep 2 bullets and then you can just constantly do that. And it's not really like a glitch, but it's a certain way to use it that's not just run around the map. I would be happy to meet you in the middle here at B though. Like, I don't think I like C. I think especially once we start ranking some of these other wonder weapons, you're gonna be like, okay, sure, maybe we move the Beam Smasher up a little bit here, or maybe this should be like a tier higher. I don't.
I'll tell you why I'm good with B, because I had this written down and totally looked over it. When this game first came out, one of the most fun play sessions that I've had is when me and you were sitting in the room that you have to open to do the code, and we both had it.
Yeah.
That. You know me, what are our most, like the deepest parts of our lore are me and you having wonder weapons and trying to go to high rounds. So I agree. This is the most, and believe it or not, because there are other wonder weapons you could have multiple of, I think this is the most fun 2-player wonder weapon on the game. No, so yeah, I'm cool with B for sure.
I completely agree with you. I mean, I think back to that too, just like the weapon grinding, the level grinding, the camo grinding days, like the Beam Smasher, especially when we were just sitting in that room on double XP weekends for double gums, where it's so OP. And I know we never really took it a step further to see how far we could go with it, but I think that'd be fun to kind of revisit and just see, like, is this a viable,
Absolutely.
like still a viable round 100 strat, especially with Vulture 8, so we could get more Casimirs back without having to buy them, especially with how fast the rounds are in that room. We've got Wonder Bars now, so it wouldn't be like an hour setup to try to both get the Beam Smasher. We can just get it quick as we can. Like, I'm cool with like B. I think looking at the rest of these wonder weapons coming up, it might even be like high B, maybe not A, but definitely like maybe the scraping the top of B here.
Could be for sure. Okay, cool. I like that. All right, let's move along. Interestingly enough, so by the time the first DLC map rolled around for this game, we had 7 wonder weapons after Citadel, because we have the 4 unique swords. You got the ray gun, the jet gun, and the beam smasher. So there was definitely a lot of offerings for playstyle and differentiality when it came to wonder weapons in this title, which I do appreciate from Treyarch. So let's go in order here. I have them written down as light, void, lightning, and fire. How about you kick things off with the light sword?
Okay, the swords are definitely going to be pretty interesting to rank, just because like when they first came out, they were super underwhelming. I have a theory that back when like week 2 or week 3 of the game, right before Citadel came out, the way the zombies hit you and the scaling completely changed because of how hard it was to get to high rounds, or when you were running around, you were getting blown away by manglers on Liberty Falls. Like there was a complete overhaul to the zombie damage output. I think originally the swords were supposed to play a different way, and then when they changed like the scaling for that, they didn't have time to go back and retest the swords on the new update. So they launched in a really, really bad state. They were in a bad state, and they're still not like blow you away top like best wonder weapons of all time, but it's gonna definitely be interesting to rank these.
Yeah, the light sword, honestly. So you got to think. I'm trying to look down the rest of the list. Like, how many things do we think the light sword is actually better than?
I feel like it's got to be like low B. Like, I think it's better than the ray gun.
Low B, high C.
Yeah, I think it could go B, just because you do get like the plates back from this from this weapon. So like it is one of the 2 better swords in my opinion. Like it's good enough to like hold its own, but it's not a wonder weapon that's gonna care. I mean, like with the right augments and with the right, perk combination and the right strategy, this can definitely get you to high rounds. But I start to kind of like sour on wonder weapons when it's like, oh, it's good if you just do this, and this, and you've got A augment and B augment and C augment that you got to run to make this really, really good. Like I just like the OP stuff. For me, that's what I think deserves to be in like the S tier wonder weapons. I know it's really good, and people might be like, low B tier might not be the right move here. Maybe we're being a little too harsh on this, but it's definitely one of the better swords. But I think for sure like low B tier, but certainly I think better than the ray gun. So if ray gun's going to be like top C or like middle C, I think that the light sword should definitely be like low B.
Yep. And unfortunately, I feel like this is where a lot of these wonder weapons are going to be, and if not some of these swords, like transitioning over to the void sword. Like I think I think the void sword is the best sword, but do you think the void sword is better than the beam smasher as far as a ranking?
Dude, they both kind of work. No, I don't think so. I think that the beam smashers.
Really?
No, I think the beam smasher is better, just because it's like, at the end of the day, like you do need to have the augment set up for the beam smasher. You do kind of need to know the strategy. It's not as like easy. Like the base version of like just getting the beam smasher and running around isn't as easy to use as running around with the void sword or any of the swords. But like once you get to like 45, 50, 60 and the rounds start picking up, it is so hard to do anything with them, because you can't really run around and survive and kill zombies because they'll hit you for too much damage, and you can't charge up your sword fast enough even post patch. And then like sitting in a corner with it, even if you're running like Casimirs and whatever, like you can do that, but at the same time you're going to run out of salvage very quickly, because you're going to have to buy more Casimirs than you're earning back with the salvage because of the certain strategy that you're running. So like from a coolness perspective, from like an aura perspective, I'd say the void sword is probably cooler and better than the beam smasher there. But like practicality use, it's for as good as it might seem, and everyone's like, oh, it's basically just a Gersh device. Like it's not as OP as I felt like it could have been or should be.
And I think this is an interesting lesson that we could learn from doing this too, because I'm on the same side of the community that says, well, we would like more co-op friendly or more multiplayer centric wonder weapons. I'm on that train and on that bandwagon, and this is no one's fault, I don't think, maybe besides some patching or anything, but it's like they didn't really do amazing with the multiple variants of stuff. It's like the maps that only had one wonder weapon, I feel like were better. Like people like Transit, and the beam smasher is liked along with Transit. I think everyone can admit that the jet gun is pretty good. That was really pretty much the only wonder weapon outside of the ray gun, obviously, on Liberty. And then stuff we're going to get to later, obviously, with the tomb is the same way. So were the swords cool, unique? Did they take a stab there? No pun intended. Sure. Same way with the Mark IIs though. It's like, did the Mark IIs really blow anyone out of the water? We'll talk about them, of course, later on in the podcast. But all right, so lightning, you got to think if Void is the top.
Where are we putting the Void? I would put Void below.
Put Void in between beam and light.
I think light might be better.
Think?
Because you can get with you're using I mean, again, this is where you have to use the augments for it, but if you're using
with coolness though, and with how it looks, and with
the upgrade class,
the action,
I think these could be interchangeable, to be honest with you. The light sword's a little more practical in terms of its like usability and like high round strategy, but everyone wanted to get the void sword at launch. Everybody was about getting the void sword. How do we get this? It was the hardest one to get, and everyone usually is like, okay, if it's the hardest one to get, it's going to be the best.
A lot of people didn't like that quest though. A lot of people didn't like it.
Yeah, the quest was hard. The reward is really good if you're going up to a certain point. Like if you're using it for the first 40 rounds, it's going to be the best sword. But I think the light sword ends up being the better one for high rounds. But in terms of like I'd say these are interchangeable. I just put Void ahead of light only for how cool it is, how cool it looks, and the portal that opens up. Like obviously light is, in my opinion, more practical. But I'd put Void ahead of that, but below the Beam Smasher.
So we have Beam Smasher, Void, and then light. And now on to lightning. You got to think lightning is going to be below light, in my opinion.
Yeah, dude, it's again like lightning got the biggest buff, I think, back when they fixed the swords or, tried to patch them up. But I don't think that either of these, I don't think the light sword should be in contention with the Beam Smasher, the Void, or the light sword. Like, I think it can probably get you to a higher round than the ray gun, but at the same time, like, I don't know, like maybe C tier above the ray gun, but definitely not B tier. Like it's one of those ones where like, yeah, you have the lightning ability, so you can kind of stay away from the zombies on higher rounds, but having to charge it up isn't really going to get you anywhere. If you're going to go try and kill an amalgam with it, you kind of have to pick between specifically focusing the amalgam versus taking down an entire horde. So yeah, in terms of practice, I mean, this is like right there with the ray gun. I think it might do a little more for you slightly to a higher round than the ray gun, but I don't know. What do you think? Like high C tier above ray gun? I don't think this is B tier at all, though.
Yeah, I would put that above the ray gun in C and just keep the ray gun like middle of the pack, honestly. And once again, guys, this is just Black Ops 6, the hierarchy of this title. We're just sending this title off with a wonder weapon ranking. So it's not like we're ranking this against all-time stuff or where it would be in like the Call of Duty Zombies canon history of all the wonder weapons. So it's just anything from this game matched up against this game. But I will say, if we're taking the quests into consideration and how you actually obtain these weapons, which I think is valid and fair criticism, like I have more respect for the fire sword personally than the lightning sword, regardless of which one may or may not actually be better. But it's like, I feel like for what I had to do for the fire sword to get it made more sense for how good it was compared to the lightning. Not that the lightning's hard, don't get me wrong, but it's like fire. Outside of the jet gun, believe it or not, I believe like the fire sword is one of the easier things to obtain in the whole game as far as wonder weapons go. And it's like lightning had all these extra steps, and sometimes getting the electricity on the base sword was a little bit touch and go. So that's where I'm at with the fire sword. Still nothing great, probably top of C tier in my opinion, but I would put it ahead of lightning, even though, like you said, the lightning got the buff and it's probably the better sword. I'm just taking all things into consideration.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a fair assessment for it too. Like genuinely, I feel like you're right. It's so easy to get. It was found within the first like 35 minutes of the map coming out. So it's like when stuff's found that early on, obviously it's easy. Now, is it good? No. It's okay. Like it's all right. The damage really starts to fall off. I think like its special ability where you like throw the fire, I think falls off before any of the other 3 special abilities for the swords. But like you said, ease of access. Super easy to get. On the low round, this can carry you through the Easter egg very easily up until probably the boss fight when you need to switch swords, but it's good. It's easy to get. It's the one that I go for when I'm like just running around the map or trying to level grind on Citadel. Like it's in my back pocket, so I'm cool with that being at C above the lightning sword.
Now, because I hear people in the comments, very smart, very astute, very observational people. I hear them in the comments right now, MZC. I hear them so far away, so I'm gonna appease this thought that I'm having. You've obviously played with this mechanic of the game a lot more than me. but we're not going to change the rankings. We're already through all 4 of the swords, so we're not going to change the ranking. I just want to pick your brain. What is the best incantation?
Oh man, I think it's got to either be lightning or fire because they both will untap amalgams. I don't think void or light affect amalgams in any way. So if you're like an offensive player like me, being able to just one tap amalgams either in the boss fight or in the high rounds, those are the ones that I would definitely go for. Obviously, we don't have it listed here for like wonder weapons. I would consider that to be more on par with the Ether Blade. But we
a side thing.
Yeah, like maybe we do that at some other point, or we rank the field upgrades, or we rank like all the equipment at some point. But like, yeah,
but if you wanted, if you were a member of the community that wanted to put those two together, I think that would be kind of a fair way to look at it. Even though it's not a wonder weapon, but it's like, hey, you need this sword to get this, in theory. So it's definitely interesting. Citadel, I think, has the most. One of the most, maybe not the most, but that map and the wonder weapons, like they have the most personality. Not saying that they're great by any means, like we just went through them. They're B, C tier wonder weapons, but with the incantations and with the quests and with how everything tied into the Easter egg there, like if you wanted to give more points to the wonder weapons because of the synchronicity with the map and how everything flows together and how you actually need everything to do the quest, that's something I'd be interested in hearing out too. There's a bunch of different ways to rank this stuff, guys. We're going practicality, how good is it? Just, eye test and on a raw level. And we're taking in consideration some other things. But yeah, there's a lot of way to look at wonder weapons in this game because thankfully we had a good cycle. We had a good season of wonder weapons. Yes, some reused. Yes, some of them were unique, but I've had a good time with all of these wonder weapons in this game, and there's really nothing that stands out like, oh, this was, we don't even have an F tier, but it's not like, oh, this is an F tier wonder weapon.
Right.
That just doesn't exist in this game. All right, let's keep it moving. As I say that, probably the worst wonder weapon in this game. Believe it or not, this is probably called Staff of Ice actually in the game. Is it not?
I think you're probably right. I think Staff of Ice would be the correct coding.
Tomato.
Ice.
But it's not very good. It's not very good base.
No, it was really, really bad when it first came out. There was a buff to it, but even then, it'll get you through the upgrade quest for the Ice Staff. But that's it. I wouldn't take it any further than using it for the upgrade. It's okay now, but it's not going. You're not getting past round 15 with this in your hand.
No, it's not very good. Is that our first D?
I think so. I'm totally fine with putting it down there. There's no argument for me. It's just not very good, and I understand it's meant to be upgraded, but yeah, come on, it's not even. It's ass. It's bad. It's not good. It's okay. It'll get you through the steps. It'll get you to where you need to go with it, but there's no oh, this is going above and beyond any other wonder weapon in the game. I think I'd rather have the ray gun than the base version of the Ice Staff. I don't think that's very controversial at all. I'm fine with this being in D tier.
I totally agree with you there. And once again, if you're taking everything into consideration, practicality, lethality, accessibility, it's the quest to get even the base is, to me, closer to the Beam Smasher quest than the Jet Gun quest, and what you get from doing the Staff of Ice quest is just not very good. So It's not hard, don't get me wrong, but it's still, and here's the thing, I'm not moving it out of D, but if you had an argument for this, is the camo grind to get this wonder weapon is so good because of all the specials it spawns. Now that's really not part of the ranking, but I did appreciate that, and I did like that when I was trying to get Nebula and stuff like that. But obviously it gets into the Ooze arrow, and I think you're going to tell me this is probably the number one wonder weapon in the game if I were to guess.
Yeah, I think there's no drawbacks here. Obviously you still need to pair this with a Sentry Turret or the Energy Mine for the high round strategy. There's not one single weapon in this game that's the Apothicon Servant that's just going to blow everything away. Even back in the day, the Apothicon Servant didn't kill the Margwas, but this is the closest thing I think to that. It's unreal. It'll sweepingly blow away any of the special zombies on the map, regular zombies. It's so easy to use. You can't die with it. If you die with this weapon, you are, except for the boss fight, fair enough. If you get in the boss fight and you can't survive with it, fair enough. The boss fight's hard, but it is really
not that good for the fight. That's a good point. It's really not overpowered for the fight, which I do appreciate. But for high rounds, is the best high round weapon in the game.
Easily, if you're trying to grind can't, not came up, but like if you're trying to grind levels or gobble gums to this stage of the game, the tomb is where you go. Any of these XP events that they've had, you've got your tomb save file ready to go, booting up with this weapon. It's just too easy. You can just zone out and stop thinking and end up on round 200 within 2-3 hours of booting up the game, starting a new match. It definitely is one of the harder wonder weapon quests in the game, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Like if you're first 5 times through this, like it's tough to be like, okay, which symbols did I have? You got to shoot everything in 10 seconds. So if you are breaking the crystals or shooting the crystals, you got to make sure you have stamina up or PhD or both. Like it definitely might be one of the longest quests to a wonder weapon in this game, but it's well worth it. I think it's because it doesn't have the drawback of the jet gun where you can run out of ammo and you have to switch to something else, or you're running low on ammo and have to jump off the top of, like, you can just sit in the corner with this for infinity rounds as long as you don't mess up your energy turrets. I'm going S+ tier. Like, this is above the jet gun, right up there. These are probably the only 2 S tier wonder weapons in the game. I think this is number 1. No debate, no contest. Jet gun's fun to use, probably still my personal favorite, but Oozer just blows it away.
Would you have, I actually don't know the answer to this, that's why I'm asking. Would you have Oozer over the jet gun if Vulture's Aid wasn't in this game?
Yeah, I'd still say yeah, because where you camp is like right by the ammo crate. So like even if you had to go buy ammo for this,
it'd still be pretty good.
Still be good.
And that's obviously good.
I still think even when you kill and I could be wrong, but I think when you kill either the amalgams or the mimics on the tomb, they do drop ammo, and I think that even without Vulture Aid applies to the ice staff. So I think it'd still be pretty tough to run out of ammo. Obviously, Vulture Aid's gonna make it so you're basically unlimited ammo here, but yeah, and the ease of ability with the jet gun too, like you're super slow. I feel like the ice staff, you're not very slow. The jet gun, you kind of have to play. If you're running around with the jet gun, you have to swap back to it when you're training up zombies, especially in the higher rounds. You can't just run around with a jet gun and expect to live and thrive. I think that the Ool's arrow is, even with Vulture's Aid not being in the game, it would still would have been disgustingly OP. Obviously you want it, but yeah, I still think it clears.
All right, so Ool's arrow, number 1, king of the hill right now. I do not believe it's getting dethroned. Pretty solid. We got the jet gun following it up right behind it. Beam smasher in that B tier, followed by 2 of the swords, and then the other swords and the ray gun kind of in that same conversation. And funnily enough, the staff of ice all the way at the bottom in D tier for a quick recap before we get into the second half of this game. But still, I mean, if you're counting the Staff of Ice and Ool's Arrow as different wonder weapons, which I guess you could count it as one if you really wanted to, you're still looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wonder weapons already through the first, 2 DLC seasons. And I'm sure we'll talk about Black Ops 7 is going to be a different game. We all know that, but it's like, hey, I'm really impressed with the 2 launch maps at the start of Black Ops 6 and then that early DLC cycle. I know a lot of people like stuff a little bit staged backwards further in the year. I kind of like how they did the DLC cycle this year. I think there really wasn't any dry points up until that season with Grief, and still even for the first couple weeks of Grief, it's been a high action packed game, so there's been a lot to do. There's going to be a lot to do in the future. And there's a lot more to talk about because we're into the Ray Gun Mark IIs. Obviously, you have your base version. We got the W, and we have the R, and that's it. Is there another one? There's 3 of them, right?
P, yeah, the P. It's like we got
the
the submachine gun, the marksman rifle, and the shotgun on top of the base version.
Oh, yeah, shotgun. I forgot about the P because it's, spoiler alert, not very good. All right, let's do regular. Let's do base Mark II. Because I think you got everything in front of you. Where do you think that really fits within the hierarchy of this game?
It's not as good as I would have wanted it to be, dude. Like back in Black Ops 2, it was powerful. You could get to around like late 40s, I feel like, is when it really started to slide in terms of its damage. Here, I think it falls off just about at the same time the regular ray gun does. It might make it a little bit further, but like the ammo situation with this is terrible. I'm always running out of ammo at the base version, even with Vulture Aid. It's not ideal. Maybe it's because I don't really go for like headshots with this, but in terms of like usability, fun, it's a returning Mark II. It was hyped to get it back. I was super excited for it, especially on all the prior maps, but I don't know. It's underwhelming. It's not as good as it was in Black Ops 2. Granted, it wasn't like that in BO3 or 4. We got it in those games, but I would have, like the jet gun got a glow up here. The ice staff, Ooze arrow coming back became one of the best wonder weapons in the game. For one of the most iconic wonder weapons, and it's kind of crazy to think about that now, but like the Mark II is one of the more iconic wonder weapons throughout zombies history now that it's, we've gotten years and years away from Black Ops 2, but dude, I think this is like interchangeable with the ray gun at this point. Like, and I don't think anybody's really going to disagree there. Just the base version, of course. But I just underwhelming. It's good on the low rounds. It's not really good against any of the boss fights. It's not really fun to use. You got to use the mystery box to get it. Like if you're using other than the Shattered Veil, but if you're using a wonder bar, like you're more likely to pull the ray gun and even the regular map's wonder weapon than this gun. So it's like, didn't get a lot of burn, came out at a time where like the game was already kind of dead for the older maps, and it's just not like, it's not moving the needle on the other maps. It's not shifting me away from the regular ray gun in this case. So like I would go like C tier. Dude, it fucking sucks, but I'd even put like low C tier, maybe like top. It's, you know what? No, it's better than the ice staff. The ice staff I feel like is in a league of its own. I think like low C tier, even below the ray gun, just because of how
below a C tier,
this wonder weapon is versus where it should have been when it came out, or where it should be now, like being one of like maybe not an S tier or an A tier wonder weapon, but certainly like when you're like, do I want this or the regular ray gun? That's how you know it's not very good. I'd put this interchangeable with the ray gun, but I'm gonna go bottom C tier below the ray gun.
And this is, I touched on this earlier in the show, but this is something, a Shattered Veil for the rose tinted glasses and like the honeymoon period that I think that map had. Shattered Veil to me is the map that, and I get it, Black Ops 7. Yeah, it's, it's probably development, it's full swing. It's probably, a lot of it's probably done. I understand that. But if you're projecting zombies into the future, I think Shattered Veil is a really, really good case study of a map, because not only does it have 4 wonder weapons on it, this to me is where they have to figure out if the wonder weapons are unique standalone items or if they're just there for the quest. Because the more you play Shattered, the more it's like, hey, I'm not loading into the map to play with the Mark II and its variants. I'm loading into the map and I want to do Z-Rex, which was cool and revolutionary and I think a great boss fight. But like, I need the Mark IIs to get through the map. There really isn't a lot of incentive to me to hop on that map to just play with the Mark IIs. And some people might disagree with that. I might be in a minority with that, but it's like, I don't really have a lot of opinions on these wonder weapons either way. Because there's multiple of them. So it's like, hey, I have to play with all these different variants, which it's fun. It's cool to explore. Obviously, like I said, people like the co-op feature of the wonder weapons, but I feel like they're just a part of the quest and they're not wonder weapons on themselves, if that makes sense.
No, I completely agree with you. It feels like they're kind of caked into the map. Like even going back and getting the gameplay today, you don't have to do the painting steps to get these, but you still have to do the canisters. And it's basically like doing 65-70% of the main Easter egg. And at that point I was like, should I just do Z-Rex? Like, should I just finish up the quest at this point? Like I'm already here. Like what's, like got through the whole map, but yeah, there's not really like any, aside from like the blue one, which I think we should rank here. I haven't gone in and been like, man, I really want to try the other ones because they just, they're.
And it's like, okay, it's like, yeah, the blue one's the best one. The submachine gun is clearly the best one in my opinion. And is it the best one to take into the boss? Sure, but it's not like it gives you this huge advantage to take that into the boss. Like, that's another thing too, where you have to kind of sit there and think like, if my triple papped gold rarity is more preferable than the best wonder weapon variant of the quest on the map, it's just like, it's just like a little off-putting to me. Like, obviously this is, what do you think? B tier for the blue? Maybe, but like, I don't know. Is it better than the Beam Smasher?
No, absolutely not.
That's
I
what
don't
I'm
even
saying.
know if this is better than the 2 swords we have in B. Like, I'm thinking when you look down, because here's the thing with the swords, they're good for the Citadel boss fight. I would say the only wonder weapons that are good against any of the boss fights in the game, which is I feel like kind of a systemic problem in this game.
Yeah, exactly.
Is like the jet gun is good for Liberty Falls because it's just soul collecting. And then with obviously got to pair it with like Void Sheath and whatever else that you got, but like the meta for Citadel, I'm pretty sure, is literally just using the swords against the actual boss. That's what I think the speedrunners do. So, you know, I would give this like low B tier.
Okay.
Just because like it is very practical for Z-Rex, but I don't even think this is getting you to high rounds any higher than those swords. Like it's just about like you use it for the boss fight, which is right there with the 2 swords, but I think the swords have a slight edge over this because it falls off faster in terms of like actually doing damage to zombies. Like it's good for Z-Rex. It's like your preferred, one of the preferred weapons to use against Z-Rex, in my opinion. It's not the best, it's not the worst. It's good, but it's like probably like an A tier weapon to use in that boss fight. But yeah, overall, in terms of like actually running around and playing the game, I don't know if it's better than either of those 2 swords.
But it's like, is an average player with the Mark II W better than an above average player with just a fully maxed gun for the boss?
Maybe in terms of like killing the zombies off around you, depending upon what round you're on. But no, I'd say like there's probably assault rifles that are better, or I mean, I don't know how the mouse. I don't know if anyone really uses the Maelstrom against Z-Rex, but I'm sure that there's like a handful of weapons that are certainly better. But for the average player, maybe it might be better to just have that like crowd control ability with the Mark II. So
fair enough. Well, yeah, let's low B tier. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm fine with that. And then the Mark II R, the marksman rifle. Like this is the thing where we're running into a lot of like muddling in this. Like this is probably a C tier wonder weapon, don't you think? Or you want to put it lower?
Yeah, I'd say it's for sure C tier. I actually think this is better than playing with it again today. I think this one did get a buff shortly after it came out. The thing that's tough about it is like the fire rate is terrible, but the acid pool that spawns from it actually lasts a pretty decent amount of time. Granted, you do have to like train them around or whatever. I know there is like one specific high round strategy that I think people use this for, to create that acid pool on the stairs, and then they switch to the Wonder Waff. It's not more practical to use than the blue one, but I feel like it's definitely like okay. It's not as bad as the rep gets. It gets a bad rep for how it launched. I don't think anybody played with it after that to like give it a chance after it was buffed.
I totally agree.
I would go like, dude, you know what? I would probably go in between the ray gun and the lightning sword. I could almost see this, like I could make a case for it being in between the swords or above the swords. Definitely not B tier, but yeah, I would say just, I mean, it's lackluster too. It is another version of the Mark II, which kind of is just like, okay, it's another, it's like the fatigue version of the Mark II. I'd put this above the regular ray gun though, I think, just because it has that acid pool ability, which will kill on higher rounds.
Saved by this alternate ability.
If this didn't have an alternate ability to it, this would, I think, would be D tier for sure. For sure.
I totally agree. And then the Mark II P, is that where you're going with the Mark II P? D? Or is there some saving grace to get it into C?
I don't think we have enough D tier wonder weapons on this list. Looking this over and like, not to be an asshole and be like, I'm trying to find a way
watching the tier list.
I know. But dude, playing with it today, so the shotgun variant of it is cool. Like it was an alpha omega variant too, so for me I've got some like nostalgia bias towards it. But its special ability is like this little circle that'll spawn on the ground that you can stand in and get invincibility, but the circle lasts for like 5 seconds, and if you're on even like a medium tier round, like in the 20s, and you go to stand in that circle, you get swarmed. So by the time the circle, like you get in the circle, you get a couple of kills, and then the circle goes away and you get absolutely clapped by the zombies. So it's like, again, it's not, you know what? It might even be better than the regular Mark II, but just for the fact that like the secondary ability is in my opinion worthless, and there's no point to even like using that on high rounds or even playing around with it. Like it might as well just not even be there, and it might just be a shotgun ray gun. Like I would put this above the ice staff, but I would be totally fine with putting this in D tier, to be honest with you.
I'm cool with D tier, and that's like, this is the Shattered Veil problem, I think, where in no way logically should, however you feel about it, maybe you think it's a little bit better than the Mark II, just the base, but it's what logistical sense does it make that something you have to do an upgrade quest for is in the same conversation, if not worse, than the base version that you get? So it's back to my original point. Like, are you building the map? Like, what's your thought process here? Okay, step 1, we're going to build the map. Step 2, we're going to build the quest. Oh, we built the quest that you need all these wonder weapons and the variants for, so we're just going to do that last. Or are you building the map by itself, and then you're building the quest, and then you're building the wonder weapon to install into the map, not just that it's installed into the quest? That's the Shattered Veil problem, and unfortunately, I think the hype for Shattered Veil was there. I think that it's an aesthetically pleasing map. It's interesting to the story. It has Ricky T. It has a really good boss fight. I just think, if you have Shattered Veil low on your list of your map tier list for this game, it's very tough to argue with you, and it's very difficult to dispute because it just seems like there was so much there that could have went better, and it just didn't with Shattered Veil. So unfortunate there. I had a lot of fun with Shattered Veil on launch. I know you did too. I just don't know if the Mark II hype really lived up to it once we're looking back on it.
One thing too, I think that it's not going to affect the way that these are ranked on the tier list here, but you can only get one Mark II on the map for free. So it's like, if you're in a 4-player match, why did you have these like separate variants of the weapon that you can't even get multiple variants of on the map unless you spin a wonder bar or you just relentlessly hit the box for the Mark II? So, again, like, it would be cool, in my opinion, to be like, oh, all of our teammates have each individual Mark II. We've all got one going to the boss fight and we're taking things down with the ray guns. But you really can't even do that practically. If you, me, Lawyer Mike, and Nurse Yanni went in to face Z-Rex again, there wouldn't be all of us have a Mark II. Like, when we did it together, it was like, all right, one person's got the Mark II and one person's got the WAF. The other 2 people have the best meta weapons that you can get against Z-Rex. So it's like, the whole idea of zombies should be like the power trip of getting the wonder weapons, and your whole team is kitted out with the map specific weapons that you can get. In this case, like, you just can't do it. Like, I would argue, like, okay, for a jet gun, that could be fair. The Apothecon Servant, fair. Right. Even back in the day, the Wonder Waff, Thunder Gun, fair. But they're Mark IIs and they're not that good. So it's like, why did you cap? Why wasn't there either alternate ways to get the Mark II, or why wasn't it like when you open up the vault, you pick up one, but then everyone else in the game can also pick up one? Just same thing with the Ether Blade. Like, why limit that, right? So that was the rant on the Mark IIs. But it's not going to affect the tier list at all, but just kind of noticing for next year, if that stuff happens again, it's going to be like, well, dude, come on. What?
And I'm so glad you said that too, because the biggest piece from what you just said there of constructive criticism I could continue on with for how they do these maps, how they do these wonder weapons, is when you're playing with people like MZC reference, like a couple of our IRL buddies who they like zombies, they played zombies in the past, but they're not zombies mains, or they don't have a lot of time to hop on and play zombies on this game. It almost defeats the purpose for new people, because at some point, if we have a limited amount of time to run through an egg, it's like, hey, either me or MZC has the Easter egg or not the Easter egg, but either me or MZC have the wonder weapon, because you need to get through the quest with the wonder weapon. So you can't even, we could try and we could help and we guide. It's actually, like you said, we guided Nurse Yanni through it, but it's like, hey, the people that, like, if me and MZC are playing together, it's not that I don't want the wonder weapon. It's just like, hey, we're trying to do a quest. He does this full time. He knows the steps like the back of his hand. He's just going to pick it up. So there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, hey, if you want new players into your ecosystem, into your game, you might want to consider, like, hey, the glass comes down and there's 4 Mark IIs there. Just a little food for thought, a little bit of a side tangent there. But there's another wonder weapon on that map, MZC. What percentage of the community even, do you think there's a percentage of the community that doesn't even know the Wonder Waff is on SV?
I feel like most people might know, but I would say there's certainly a portion of, like, the casual zombies community that doesn't even know that you can get the Wonder Waff. Maybe they do because it's in the menu. You can gloss over those, and someone's like, oh, hey, the Wonder Waff, like, what map was that on, and figured it out that way. But yeah, when it came out.
What do you think the side quest completion among all players for the Wonder Weapon or for the Wonder Waff
more
is?
People have probably used Wonder Bars or spun the box for it. I would say where people actually don't know about the Wonderwaff is the actual side quest. Because I remember that didn't get solved until like 2 days in. Zonax hit me up and was like, hey, dude, do you want to like get me to, can you help me get to the point where we can actually get the quest? Because you have to get like an upgraded ray gun and a painting before you can even do the Wonderwaff quest. So you're already halfway through the egg by the time that even becomes available to you for free, right? And even then, people were like, no, there's no Wonderwaff quest. It's confirmed. Like, people were saying there's no way to get it. There's, it's only through the box. And that's what it seemed like. So that might be where the stigma is with this. But honestly, dude, and I hate to, I feel like every quest this year has been honestly pretty good. Like the Jet Gun quest, we raved about it earlier. The Beam Smasher, for as tough as it really is, if you're just getting into the mode, great quest. It's fun to do. Traversing the islands, even going back and doing it today is like it's fun. The sword upgrades are great. Ice Staff is challenging but cool. The Wonderwaff, there's no flow. It's just like, oh hey, at a certain point during the Easter egg, you can pick up Richtofen's dirty laundry underneath his bed. Dirty laundry under his bed. It's like the
biggest fetch quest.
Yeah, and then there's going to be 3 random things around the map that'll, spawn in, and you have to shoot the shields around it and then kill it, like, to move it forward. Like, it's whatever. I think what's really, like, the redeeming quality for me is, like, if you watch the Liberty Falls cutscene and it breaks the glass, and then it's, like, in the elevator, and they kind of tie it around that way, like, that was cool, but, like, the actual, like, build up to it just seems like they had a payoff in mind. And again, I don't know this for a fact. It's not fact at all. Nobody knows this, but it just seems like they were like, "Oh shit, we need to make the quest for the Wonderwaff, right? Let's just
It feels disconnected from the rest of the title.
Exactly. But the Wonderwaff as a weapon as a whole is actually really, really good. And this, along with the Ice Staff, was like the turning point for the game when I think that the high round strat evolved from spamming mutant injections to spamming the wonder weapon, which I really, really actually like about this, like the back half of this title, because it was like eventually it was like, okay, how do you rack up enough salvage to then be able to continue on for the next 850 rounds to round 1,000 basically by just purchasing mutant injections on repeat. And of course, like again, I said like, okay, you don't want to have the wonder weapon rely on augments or whatever, but there is like a certain dead shot and then death perception augment that will essentially give you unlimited ammo with the Wonderwaff that I it was really fun doing the high round strategy. I would go A tier for this because it really is, especially like ease of access. Like remember when we went to the boss fight with our more casual friends, you can just give them the Wonderwaff and say, hey, you're crowd control, run around and just slay out with this, right? And there's not really a fear that I'm gonna like go down or anything. I think, it's the Wonderwaff, it's nostalgic. It didn't come back in a way that was like, I feel like, we haven't seen this since, I don't think it was in BO4, so we haven't seen this since BO3. Like, it's back. It's fun to use. We did see it in MWZ, but round-based again, it was cool. The fetch quest for it sucks, but overall practicality and the high round strategy is really nice. I have no problem putting this in A tier.
First of all, my first question, do we have anything in A?
No, and I've been looking at this the entire time, and maybe this would be a good time to discuss this.
How do we have nothing in A?
Dude, I think this would be right, though. I think the perfect list here would be to bump the Beam Smasher to below the Wonderwaff, because like thinking about it now and looking at it, it's so much better than both of the swords that are there and the blue Mark II. Like I think it's just clearly, a level above. Is it the best wonder weapon of all time? No, I think this would be like a B tier, C tier wonder weapon in the grand scheme of wonder weapons. But now looking at like the slated list of weapons that we've gotten in this game, like you can certainly get to a higher round with the Beam Smasher than you can either of those swords or the Mark II. Dude, I really and I know you have a vendetta against this wonder weapon, but I think like I just don't like it. I know. I think
I like math. Like I like those math equations on the wall. Like don't get me wrong, but I definitely think Waff is A, regardless of what you think. And this is the tough part about the zombies community, because A, we like consistency, at least I do. And it's like the most inconsistent compared to all the rest of the quest to get the Wonderwaff. So it like loses points for me there, but I like when stuff is unsolved. So, and it takes a while and it's not out in the first 2 hours of the map. So it gets all those points back for me. So I'm in for the Waff at A. Nostalgia, how they did the marketing for it, cool stuff. I'm with it A. I'll concede. And if we want to move the Beam Smasher up, my problem with the Beam Smasher is that it's just like, I'm the resident, I'm the in-house snob or whatever it may be. I just like, Terminus has never done it for me. And I know people are going to be in the comments, oh, la, la, la. But like the Beam Smasher, Terminus, it just hasn't done it for me. That's fine. We all have our personal preferences. A lot of people like Terminus. think it's the best map on disc, think it has the best aura, this, that, the other. I don't know, just doesn't do it for me. The Beam Smasher, you are right though. Looking through some of these other Wonder Weapons, it's definitely better than the majority of Wonder Weapons in the game.
I think this is like, once it's all said and done, once we get through Gorg effects, I think this would be the perfect tier list for, like, I don't think there'd be even a debate about anything on this list if we just bump to like bottom A, high, like it was already high B, it was already on the cusp there. But again, like if you're comparing it to the two swords that it's sitting next to and the blue Mark II, like I think it just outclasses both of those. So from like the grand scheme of the game, dude, low A tier, trust. We got two in S tier, two in A tier.
I'm trusting.
Okay. So
I was gonna say, because I'm looking through the list here. I got every letter written down. I'm like looking through. I'm like, we have 2 S's and no A's, and everything's in B and C and a couple in D. So, but to me, that's how this game feels. It kind of feels like compressed in the middle of like not bad enough to hate it and not good enough to really care about it. So. Yeah. That's where and unfortunately, like, you know, we got Gorg effects, we got Reckoning up next. Like, it's kind of more of the same of that theme for me. Like, how do you feel really truthfully about the base Gorg effects?
Dude,
I know you like the quest. I know you like getting it though. Like, I know you like the Reckoning part. Some people don't, but it's like, I know you do.
The quest is cool, but again, using it today, again, the fact that if you could pack a punch it, I think it would be really good. But because there's no pack a punch to it, it starts not really killing an entire horde, or like per one shot, you're only getting like half of it down. The other half of the zombies float up and then get dropped and they can run around again. Dude, this might be like, dude, like low C, high D tier to be 100%
I'm thinking low C,
dude. Yeah.
I don't think it's, and I have to keep it out of D because it's unique. I think it's cool. Yeah. I think it works good with the map. Like it's aesthetically pleasing to me, but what round is this really usable up to?
I slightly, dude, like, and this is what's
18.
Yeah, if that, honestly, I think if by 18 you haven't upgraded it, you're doing something wrong. Like something's not right about the game that you're running. You just don't know what's going on.
But once again, back to the baseline, and I think this is a baseline for a lot of Call of Duty Zombies. I would rather have the base ray gun. I would.
Than Gorg effect? Oh, hell yeah. Even the Mark II, I'd rather have than Gorg effect. That's why I'm like, dude, should this be like DT? Aside from like its creative, like I love the quest. I love how unique this wonder weapon is, but in terms of like actually using it, I get Gorg effects, and the first thing I do is hit the jump pad and I start doing the quest for one of the two, like for the upgrade. I'm just like, okay, let's get it moving, you know, because like one, I want to pack a punch it. This, dude, I'm okay. Dude, we'll see how you feel. I'm okay with putting this at the top of D tier. If this was pack a punchable. Dude, listen, if this was pack a punchable, and maybe they will, I mean, maybe they probably won't because I got 2 years here, but if this was like the DIE shockwaves from Cold War, where like eventually they go back and let you pack a punch those or add that in, I think this definitely gets a bump to like, I mean, we'd have to see how it would play, but maybe even like B tier. But dude, it just does not, the base version is not good. The quest is cool, but yeah, I'd rather have the Mark II. I'd rather have the ray gun. I'd rather have the yellow ray gun Mark II. I'd rather have those two swords than base Gorg effects. So I think like it's gonna piss a lot of people off, I think. But in terms of practicality, like I think it's gotta be D. I think it's gotta be like right on the cusp of D, C.
I don't think so. I don't think a lot of people have like this big affinity with Gorg effects. Gorg effects N. Now, yeah, that's gonna piss a lot of people off because you know how it is with how you upgrade it. So. I don't know, though. The N is clearly a step up from the base, obviously. And I clearly think it's better than C. But that doesn't mean I know where to put it in the tiers.
For the high round strategy with the one window, even like the normal one, obviously you still have to rely on your energy mines. You still have to rely on, shock charges from time to time. It's definitely the best of the three. I would honestly put this at the top of B because you can survive high rounds with it. You can get to 999 with this weapon. I don't really think that after a certain point, you're switching off of the two swords and the blue Mark II, obviously. Like the blue Mark II, outclassed by the Wonder Waff. That's the main one there. The two swords, eventually the goal is to switch to mutant injections on Citadel. I would be fine with putting N at the top of B tier above both of the swords, only for the fact that like this weapon is still viable and will one tap and will get you into the ultra high rounds, right? And again, is it as fun to run around with than those two swords? Probably not. Right. But like when you're actually just like considering, okay, the one window strategy, obviously you have to pair it with things, but it's definitely not A tier. It's not on the Beam Smashers level. It's not on the Wonder Wasps level, but
it's right below. It would be right after. It would be right after the Beam Smasher in like a top down list.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm fine with putting this. I think it could be like a bottom A, but for practicality reason, because it's not as good as either of those two, and it's got to be underneath it. That's why I'd put it like top of B tier IMO, which might piss some people off. And I love the Reckoning. The Reckoning is my favorite map in the game. I love Gorg effects. I love doing this quest. I love running the high round with it. But in terms of its usability, I'd rather have the four wonder weapons listed above than Gorg effects N.
And if you're a lore and character junkie, we get it. Like, you're putting this wonder weapon in D. We totally understand. Like, yeah, I didn't want to kill Blanchard either, but here we are. I'm cool with top of B. It's just like the Mark II W could have been like this, like look 100%. Where the Mark II W is. It could have been like Gorg effects N, and it just wasn't. And a little bit disappointing. The swords, with a little bit more balancing on launch and a little bit of tuning the week after, like, could have been on this level. But the
swords could have been the best wonder weapons in the game, or some of the best, had they not overhauled how the zombies damage work. Like, I know that's probably what nobody talks about it either, because at this point everyone just forgets that this isn't how the game was at launch. But without that balancing patch, I feel like the swords might have been like just as good as the DE bows, but unfortunately things were overhauled. I mean, they needed to be overhauled. The manglers were ridiculous. You were getting Kobe'd from across the map with 10 manglers on you on Liberty Falls at launch. Like, obviously things needed to change. The zombies were hitting for too little too. But yeah, I think the swords got shafted here in this game. Could have been a lot cooler. Could have been a lot better under like better circumstances. But yeah.
All right. Gorg effect C, Panos side of the quest. And once again, too little, too late, or wishful thinking, whatever you want to say. MZC's theory, since pretty much the eggs and the boss fights have been solved for Reckoning, to me, these wonder weapons would have gained a lot more points if they were quest specific based on the different endings.
Yep.
Regardless if they were even different, but it felt like you went halfway with that, and I totally agree with you, and I totally think that that's how they should have approached it. But Panos C, is this like the most mid-level, like right in the middle type of thing, or lower or higher, or what do you think about C?
Dude, it's better than Gorg effects because you can pack-a-punch it and you can take it to higher rounds. It'll do more damage for you. Like, that's the only edge over normal Gorg effects I give it. But even with if they buffed it, but if I had not known that, I wouldn't have been able to tell. And it's not good. It wasn't good when it came out. There was like no, like I would have thought like, okay, if Gorg effects you can't pack a punch and it's bad, then there would have been a rivalry between which is better, the Blanchard one or the Panos one. And what's crazy to me is like Panos is a human, right? Like he's a pure human being, and his life energy and life serum is far more powerful than a fucking etheric energy. Like Panos is like an orb. It's electricity. It makes no sense at all as to why Blanchard's is even better than Panos is. Regardless from people be like, oh, I love Blanchard better. Fair enough. But dude, like, yeah, I don't know. This is like better than Gorg effects because you can pack a punch it. But I still seriously think I'd rather have. I mean, like, it might do more for you than the ray gun or the Mark II. But I'd rather have the ray gun or the Mark II when I'm doing the boss fight or I'm running around the map or whatever. So I'd honestly put this in D tier above Gorg effects, but
I'm fine with that.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, like, this is honestly looking at the official list here now. Like, this is a pretty balanced list in my opinion. Like, we have 2 in S tier, which are the clear cut S tier wonder weapons. We have 2 in A tier, which I think are the 2 clear cut A tier wonder weapons. We've got 4 in B tier, which are, they're good, they're solid, but they're nothing like special to write home about. Then you've got the C tier weapons that are like, I'd pick these up and use them. They're okay, but they're not great. They're things I'd rather use on some of these maps. And then the D tier wonder weapons are like, I'm using this for the quest. Or
absolutely,
this is just something along the way that like I'm gonna stumble into this just here and move on. Exactly, it's here. It's not great. So yeah, it might be harsh. Anybody that's animated this, if you're watching this or if you've worked on these wonder weapons, like, again, personal opinion here, but my I'm a wonder weapon player, dude. My whole objective since I was a kid is to load in, spin the box, build the wonder weapon, whatever it takes to get the best weapon in the match, and then either camp up or run around in a circle on the stage of Keynote or Toten with the Thunder Gun, run around in the War Room of 5, Pentagon, Derice running around with the Wonder Waff. The whole goal
Thunder
for me,
Gun,
Thunder
everything.
Gun, everything. Apothecant Servant, the goal for me is, how can I get the wonder weapon as quickly as I possibly can? And I want it to be OP. Now, I understand not every wonder weapon can be the Apothecant Servant. Not every wonder weapon can be the Ice Staff. Not every wonder weapon can be the Thunder Gun, right? But at the same time, I feel like for a lot of these weapons this year, they thought too much about the balancing. I think that the community got in Treyarch's head too much about how easy the game was and how difficult we really wanted it to be. And I agree that Cold War was pretty easy, but a lot of that was paired with Ring of Fire. So you take Ring of Fire out of the equation and suddenly the Cerberus isn't that good on high rounds, the ray gun or the Ray K isn't that good on high rounds, the Shockwave isn't as good on high rounds, even the Crystal Axe not as good on high rounds without Ring of Fire. So I'd like to see next year, with Primus coming back, these wonder weapons be a little bit more OP. Not everyone has to be insta-kill, blow an entire horde away, but find a way to get a lot of these to out of C tier and put the majority in A and B tier, right? Where there's only a few throughout the year that you're the ray gun's D tier in this game because there's just so many better wonder weapons, or the Mark II is now in B tier because it got a huge buff this year. I just overall looking at these, I get the balancing, I get trying to make things fair and even, but again, these are wonder weapons. The whole goal of zombies for the majority of people, especially if you're looking at casuals that are either just joining this year or casuals throughout the history of time, what resonates with people, the OP wonder weapons that you can get and just slay out with and have a power trip fantasy kind of vibe going on here. But yeah, man, looking at these, I think this is probably damn near the correct tier list, aside from maybe some people arguing the swords one way or another, but a lot in B, C, and D. Majority in B, C, and D tier. Very few in A and S tier.
And it's just so hard to be devs, creative team, whatever it may be, because, people ask you to innovate, even if you're using reused assets and doing something different with it. And it's very tough to win with wonder weapons. I think everyone will agree with that. That's a rational actor. But I will say the part where I have to give them their flowers is also the biggest drawback. And it was super, super interesting doing this exercise to think about the game and its totality and everything, with the wonder weapons and how they go with the map and how they go with the quests. But it's a double-edged sword, because what makes this game interesting and I think helpful and able to bring new people in is the accessibility of the wonder weapons. You could get everything in this game. Really good players are getting it before round 10. A lot of people could get stuff before round 15 in some cases. So it's not like you're sitting there box spinning, waiting for RNG. I think that that's something that Treyarch and Activision Call of Duty should be commended for thinking about, at least trying to raise and heighten that level of accessibility that, hey, these are all buildable. They make sense within the quest. And even if some of them you don't need for the quest or the boss fight, it still seems linear within the map. But that's also the drawback too, because, hey, if you have something that's really overpowered, that's really good, that is going to get you to high rounds, it's really not supposed to be accessible. Or at least if the steps are easy to get it, hey, maybe it should be pretty difficult to be able to get through those steps. Or you have to wait later in the game, or you have to make sure you have enough salvage, you have enough essence, whatever it may be. So it's tough to tune these things. It's tough to have them make sense and, be impactful and also accomplish everything else that they want to accomplish with these wonder weapons. So moral of the story here is Oozer, number 1. Even though the jet gun is so good, I still think it's kind of a clear race winner that Oozer is at the top. Funnily enough, the Staff of Ice is the worst. So however you want to feel about that, whatever thematic breakdown you want to take away from that somehow the best and the worst are the combination of the same weapon is interesting enough. I got a hypothetical for you. Let's throw Black Ops 7 out the window. You could include it if you want. I'm thinking maybe a 2028 or a 20 later Call of Duty. Which one of these, reused or not, would you like to see make a return and be improved upon moving forward?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Um, I feel like Gorg wouldn't fit any future titles again, just because it's so tied to the lore of Black Ops 6. There's no real reason to bring that back. The swords, kind of the same way. Like, it'd be kind of redundant. Like, they're not as hype as the Origin staffs. I'm going to go with, dude, this is going to be crazy. I'm going to go with the ice staff again. Seriously. Like, I would love to see them do, especially with like a new
just
version.
Because I'd keep making the ice staff better.
Listen. With the, like, I'm looking at all these wonder weapons over. I think the jet gun hopefully comes in transit again next year. Not as the primary wonder weapon, but just to have on the map would be nice. The Wonder Wap is probably certainly going to come back again. It's one of the most iconic wonder weapons in throughout history. The Beam Smasher is really great, but again, it really fits the Terminus vibe. All of like the Mark IIs, I feel like we've done that enough with the Elemental Mark IIs. We can kind of stop with that. The swords are so tied to Citadel. Same thing with Gorg effects. I think the only that really leaves the ice staff, and my argument for that would be with a new version, the Tempest, whatever we're calling like the new version of the Primus Ultimus crew. I think the door is open for a Great War map again, even if it's set in the Dark Ether, even if it's not the Great War map that we had in the OG or like the thought of the original Great War, but there's some sort of like Origins remake or Origins reimagining on the table again. And I would love to see them bring back all the swords again in some sort of like big bad boss fight against the, whoever the leader of the Dark Ether is, whether it's the Shadow Man, whether it's Monty, whether they're fused, whatever. Like, I think that's on the table, and like low key, I think that's why the ice staff just randomly appeared in the tomb, because they've been working on these for a while. I don't want to confirm anything. Nobody knows, but that's just my guess. So I would like to see the ice staff come back again at some point on like an Origins Great War kind of map, especially now that like the technology is better for a large scale map like that. You could have the robots replaced with like apothecans flying around, something like that. I don't know, fanboy, like, fanfic kind of moment there, but that's what I would do. Is there any of these that you would want to see come back outside of the ice staff?
I can't believe the 180 I've done throughout this episode, from how I've thought about and did some of the prep for, this podcast episode all the way to the end. But I'm going to give a golden egg A1 idea to Treyarch. Hopefully they're listening and or already have this ready. And I can't believe I'm even saying this, but there's been, correct me if I'm wrong, MZC, there's been some 8v or some 8-person aspect floated for Black Ops 7.
Speculation, yeah.
Speculation. Let's say it's speculation. I would love to see a 8-player mode, however they want to do it, and the old crew, whatever we're calling them, Primus, whatever we're going to call them in this new game, has their unique side, has a wonder weapon, and the Requiem crew, you have to be one of them to get the Beam Smasher. And they bring it back, and they have dueling wonder weapons where, hey, we're all working as a team, but you can't get this wonder weapon unless you're playing as a specific character, and the Requiem crew just has the Beam Smasher with them. I think it would be cool. Is that going to happen? Probably not, but I think it'd be interesting to see.
That's pretty crazy, dude. That'd be the first time, absolutely, we've seen like a weapon tied to I'm pretty sure a weapon tied to a specific character. I think even the only thing that's like ever been tied to a character, I believe, is like the Maya cutscene or being Richtofen on Moon with the golden rod and being able to switch souls with Samantha. Like, there's very few examples of that throughout history of zombies, but it would be pretty cool to see something where it's like, okay, you need a Requiem crew or a member of the Requiem crew to get this specific wonder weapon, and you need a member of Primus or Ultimus or Tempest or whatever we're calling them to get this specific wonder. That would be very interesting.
You could do the thunder gun, like you could do a bunch of stuff hypothetically, where it's like the lore might not match up, but it's like you've put some unique stuff into Black Ops 6 where I think you could move forward, and I really think they're hammering on the customability of the game. Whether you like it, whether you don't, the operators, the loadouts, the field upgrades, the lethals, the tacticals, like go the full distance with this. Like, I know this is a wonder weapon tier list, but like, all right, I could hop in as Maya, and if I'm Requiem, I could get the golden armor plates. But if I'm the other crew, I could get something from, something that's part of their lore and their history that's unique, that wasn't a part of the Cold War or the Black Ops 6 story. So definitely could be interesting. There's a lot of wonder weapons in this game. When you really break it down, you have to try to rank stuff. Yeah, some of it's reused. Yes, some of it's unique, but I'm very happy with that tier list. I think there's a lot of maneuverability within those mid-level tiers. If you want to kind of look at where B and C combine, where they flow together, there's a lot that you could switch around based on personal preference. Maybe you have a lean, or you like something a little bit better than something else. I'd be curious to see what the community says too, and I'm sure we'll be hearing in the comments about some of our choices.
100%, dude. I love to hear what everyone has to say about this. I feel like, just judging on some of my live streams where people ask, this is pretty close to what most people would say. Like you said, there's probably going to be some fluctuation between the B and the D tier on what people like in certain areas, one or the other, or one might be 2 slots higher than the other. But yeah, guys, a little bit short of an episode this week. I've got the dirty vid, so I've taken like 3 or 4 ibuprofen before recording this, so I feel good, but I gotta get this edited out. So unfortunately, no community corner this week. We'll have like extended community corner next week to make up for it, but just wanted to do something fun this week after 2 straight weeks of kind of like, I think, more moaning and bitching on our side than anything. And I know it makes for good controversy, it makes for good views, it makes for drama, but kind of wanted to get back to more of a little fun, relaxing style of podcast rather than just being so wound up, especially now that I feel like everyone's kind of decompressing from the initial Black Ops 7 reveal. But, come next week when they start teasing zombie stuff, for 2 weeks, when they start teasing zombie stuff, we're going to be all wound up again. So nice little downtime here.
Absolutely agree with everything there. Like MZC said, Black Ops 7 Zombies reveals, news, trailers, gameplay, whatever it may be, is right around the corner, with open betas and the eventual game coming right after that. So if you have not yet, make sure you hit the like button on this video, get us out there to more people, get this podcast continuing to grow. We're so thankful and grateful for everyone who tunes in. We've had great response from doing this. We didn't really know how this would perform. We knew we would personally have fun doing it, but we've just been totally shocked and totally thankful for all of the outpouring of support that you guys have given us through 12 and now 13 episodes of the show. Make sure you subscribe and have the bell notification on so you don't miss anything upcoming from MZC. There's going to be a lot of content. You're not going to want to miss anything. Opinions, news, just little Easter eggs here and there that they're dropping within the run up to Black Ops 7. And yeah, we appreciate you guys being here. Make sure you're staying hydrated. And with that being said, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.